What about now? What about now? No. What about now? No. No. Bear with me. Bear with me. I don't know why it's doing this. I don't know why it's doing it. I don't know why it's doing it. Right. Well, that's one way of fixing it, I guess. But now I don't know what's going to work. Because, well, now I'm a bit worried that things ain't going to work right. Anyway, let's kind of... I have no idea. But clearly, for some reason, it decided to play my stream out my speakers, even though it's not watching my stream. It's not been... All of the outputs tods go to my headset so that you don't get echoes like that. All it was doing was chucking it out to my speakers. So I've turned the volume off on the speaker. And, well, that works, but it's a terribly awkward way of doing it. What the hell is wrong with you, computer? So now, of course, I don't know whether it's working on stream or not. I would assume so. Let me quickly fire up my phone. I'm going to assume this is not working. This is not working. No, that works. That's good. That's alright. As long as you can hear me, we will continue. Right. Oh, what a glorious mayhem. Let's move on. So, it's been a bit of a week. My co-worker left today. So now there is only me doing my job. Now this was not the plan. 3 people were supposed to be learning how to do this job. And well, to date, this has not been achieved. So now I've got to do the work of 2. And needless to say, this is a little bit much, really. So even my co-worker said he didn't envy me, so you know, makes me feel slightly better that it's not just my imagination. But yes, so I'm kind of sad to see him go. It's certainly not for the best of reasons. I didn't want to pay him anymore. So he needs to go and find another job. he has not yet found one, which kind of says a lot, to be honest, but he has not yet found one. Yeah, he doesn't envy the task ahead of me at all. So let's do a bit of this. So I apologise for not streaming yesterday. I have a sore eye. It is proper red and angry and really unhappy. And I've done all the obvious things, such as I've washed out plenty with, you know, with eye drops. I've taken an antihistamine to see if it's some form of, you know, reaction to something. None of which have made the blindest bit of difference. Which is, well, a bit shit. So, I'm a bit of a loss. So the only choice now, really, I mean, it is red and angry looking. I mean, it is sore, but it feels more bruised. It feels distinctly, you know, so it's quite tender to touch, but that's more the eyelid. Obviously, because you don't really generally stick your fingers in your eyeballs, especially when they're already red and angry. But there's also this tiny little red dot in it, like, you know, there's almost like there's a foreign body, but there doesn't seem to be one. I've had a good look. There doesn't seem to be anything. Now, it doesn't hurt. I can still see through it. It doesn't hurt per se. It's just quite tender. And well, I don't know quite what to do about it really, because it's just a bit angry. I assume it will chill out eventually, but nice if it did it a bit quicker. But on the other news today, while saying goodbye to my co-worker who came to my house, was a bit surprised because I didn't give him my address. I know who did then, but I didn't give him my address, so I was slightly taken back because I was expecting to go to work to say goodbye, and it's not far from here, you know. It's and you know, to be frank, it's not like I really mind about having my address. But you know, it was a bit of a surprise. Oh, you're here. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. We had a dog catastrophe. Now, so someone is not feeling very well this evening. And, well, it's not Amy. Amy is well known for stealing things. And so, to be honest, you would expect it to be Amy. But now this will be hard for you to understand because, well, frankly, it's hard for anyone to understand. In true honesty of the fact, it's Rory. Now he has done this before. There are no long-term medical side effects. There is just going to be, well, some discomfort until it's over. And I am wording that deliberately vaguely. I'll show you later when there's a few of you on. Because, you know, I don't want to have to do it too much. the problem. It is self-inflicted, and as I say, he's done it before, 3 or 4 times now, and that doesn't make it any better. It just means I know what to expect, which is also, in some ways, worse. But he ate something he shouldn't. Now, did they go in the kitchen, raid the cupboard for peanut butter? No. Did they go in the kitchen and raid for the jar of Nutella? No. Did they go in the kitchen and raid the cupboard for dog biscuits? No. Rory has a special thing for a tub of Vaseline. And I buy quite a big tub of Vaseline because there is a particular one that I like, just because I like it. And it is for me, not the dog after all, right? Well, as I say, this has got to be the 3rd or 4th time he's done this. Because I think I had a normal tub of Vaseline the first time, and he ate it. And this is the 4th time I bought it, according to Amazon. And I've certainly only ever bought them off Amazon, so this is the 4th time I bought this particular tub of Vaseline. I have never got anywhere near. I think I got nearly a 1/3 of the way through one of them. But this was kind of a full tub. Because it's no longer winter, I don't get through it quite as much as I used to. He's eating about 350 grams of Vaseline. Now, being petroleum jelly, it does what petroleum jelly does best. It greases things, lubricates them. Well, when you've eaten it, well, it lubricates the journey through. I think you're now imagining where this is leading. I am kind of hoping that the offending product will be ejected before bedtime. But I don't hold my breath. I really don't. I'm not quite sure what the expected digestion time of a dog is, but it's not going to be in my favour, is it? He does seem to be feeling a bit more discomfort this time. Because he's kind of retched a couple of times. Which frankly is a good thing, because maybe if you learn that it really doesn't sit well in your stomach, you'll stop eating it. But I don't think that's going to happen in a hurry. So yes, Rory ate a tub of Vaseline. So I've got a sore eye, an uncomfortable dog, too much work to do. It's going to be a long week. So to be honest, the last thing I needed was my computer being hissing when I logged in. So. Could do without that a bit. All in the December. Click on some things. Let's not do them. Do that. So, see how we're doing on the stick over here. Check you've got enough people to put it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to get back in the hole. One, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Doesn't add up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, it does. That's all right. So now this middle piece is going to be awful. We know this already because it doesn't actually fit, and I don't know what possessed me. But this is where we find ourselves. So we will be trying to force it to do this thing. Look, I can't see it working, but sometimes it's just because your brain can't kind of put them together. Oops, that's a bit overly keen. Okay. You're close enough. this is roughly the middle of the strip, to be honest. When we get nearer the bottom, which we're not far off, no, there is one right down there, so I couldn't remember if there was or not. So yeah, I reckon we're nearly halfway. A little long. Give up a bit. So. Some drink. So yeah, it's not on my best today. Am I ever? I guess is the phrase. That doesn't feel right. One, two, three. 1, 2. Why are you on your own? Where's your friend? Two, 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 two. Where's your friend? Two, two, two. Two. Oh, I screwed up. Okay. That's fair enough. Okay, so I have made a mistake. That's okay. We can cope with that. You're probably okay. It's you that need attention. Now, could be good. This doesn't feel right at all. Because it's not. So, let's see where we're at now. We need to go to there a minute. feel now's a good time to add a few more pins, because we've obviously used a bunch getting down here. So let's Let's work this side down a little bit. Pins, wasn't it? So if you're listening out there and you don't normally speak, I totally understand. But one of the things I don't understand are the people who come to the channel and go away again. I wish they'd say to me why they hate it here. Because obviously, you know, it's not like I've misrepresented what I'm doing. I am indeed making ice. Right? So I don't know. I've always puzzled by the kinds of people who come and go, and sometimes I almost wish that they'd, you know, almost hurl an insult as they leave. Like, well, this is shit and boring. Because at least I'd know. I do find it difficult. My co-worker, who, bear in mind, he's worked with us now for, it's got to be 5.5 years, maybe longer, knows full well I am not a patient lady, right? I am so not a patient lady. But even he says, to do the grafting I do, I must be patient. And it's like, for goodness sake, man, you've known me for 5.5 years. See, when have I ever shown a form of patience? Stubborn? Plenty. Patience? Never. There is a very big world of difference. You know, because I was trying to explain to him how, you know, with weaving, because he was looking at my weaving limb, it's kind of like with weaving, you know, you know, it takes forever to set it up, and, you know, I get fed up with it, and so inevitably it takes me about a week to set up my weaving limb. Now, am I entirely efficient at setting up my weaving loom? No, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of ways I could be a lot better at it. An awful lot of that would be so much better if I didn't get so cheesed off with it. But the truth of the matter is that, well, I get kind of fed up and bored and need to go and do something else before my brain explodes. And I'm still not adding new pins, am I? And I said, because when it comes down to it, the actual tea towels that I've made, because I handed him some handmade tea towels, they take about 40 minutes. And he's like, yeah, but it's the patience of setting it all up. No, dude, no, this is me. There is no patience. If you could be a fly on the wall as I did it, you really would stop accusing me of being patient. And someone else, Naughty Kel, asked earlier, you know, will you stream some of your weaving? I'm really interested. Well, I kind of get it, but it's like watching paint dry. I can tell you now, it is like watching paint dry. There is nothing more boring than watching some. I know I mean, even if I added a couple of extra cameras so you could see which foot I stomp on, the truth of the matter, all you see is a bunch of threads go up, a shuttle goes nah, and I go whack. You don't see my feet do much, but let's say you can see me stomp on a dreidel. Really? Really is so exciting. Throw a shuttle. Stomp. That's what we do for 40 minutes. It's not exactly, you know. Now, for those people who do the hand picking of, you know, instead of, because I've got ways of selecting additional threads and things. For that is why I bought the loom that I did. If you're watching them and they're having to, you know, wiggle in and out and pick up loads of threads, and well, that can be a bit more interesting because obviously, you know, you see them individually selecting threads and checking on charts. And well, for mine, I've already done all that kind of crap and put them in groups so that I've basically got a piece of string to pull that means that it will appear. So kind of the magic part is over. Now you can watch me set it up, but even then it doesn't really equate to anything. All you really see is a fat old bat getting a bit grumpy. And you know, and eventually, you know, and threading lots of things, cursing, going back, redoing things, banging her head, getting stuck, trying to fit in holes that are a bit thinner than shears, you know, all of this kind of moment. And then suddenly it's all kind of over, and we're at the front going for it and hoping that I didn't get it wrong. And it isn't really a spectator sport. To be fair, you know, it's almost like knitting and crochet and you know, many other things. I would argue even this, well, actually, especially this, hardly is the most fascinating spectator sport. And my eye is being annoying. The biggest problem I have with my eyes, it gets gunky. Now, my eyes have been like this ever since I wore, must be 10 odd years ago now. I tried long wear contacts. So the kind that you put in and take out 7 days later. And for a number of months, I had a glorious lifetime because I could wake up and see. I didn't have to wear glasses to drive. I wore some glasses for working on my computer. I could buy like £5 ones off Amazon. And I was happy. I was properly happy with my existence. And then one day, kind of got to work and my eye was being a bit gunky. So, you know, I struggled onwards, but it soon became apparent that this was not a thing. So I gave it a week's rest, tried again. Within an hour of putting the contact lens, my eye was gunky. Basically, I'd become allergic to the lenses. Or at least overly sensitive to the lenses. So I haven't worn contacts for gotta be 9 years now. But ever since then, my eyes do suddenly they wake up one morning and kind of pick rage, right? And they pick rage and decide to be gunky. And, you know, obviously they're not worms, but you basically end up picking gunky worms, like snot trails out your eyeballs all day. And I do get it occasionally, but not too often. Usually when I've managed to poke myself in the eye and, you know, needed to wash my hands because, you know, I've been doing things, you know, maybe, you know, ruffling the dog's fur a lot, so I've got dog fur grease on it, or, you know, eating my dinner and I haven't washed my hands yet, or I did, but I missed that, you know, I didn't do it well enough, or I've rubbed my face and maybe I've, you know, come into contact facially with something that, you know, is on my face, I'm not particularly aware of it, and now I've just rubbed it in my eye. So usually there's a bit of a course to it. And normally you go and wash your face, you wash your eyeball, you know, you go and get some, you wash your face, you know, put some eye drops in a thing, swill it around your face, and almost instantly it kind of calms down a lot. This is not This is not calmed down. 24 hours later, it's as angry as it was this time yesterday. Now, it wasn't why I didn't stream yesterday, but it was a contributing factor. She says just looking to see how it's actually doing. Yeah, there's just this weird white dot in it that I mean, I think actually it's the white dot that bothers me more than anything else. It's almost like it looks like I've got some form of eye ulcer, but I don't know how I would have got one. Because it's just slightly red all around it, but there's this like, it almost looks like a white head, because, well, I can only look at it through kind of in the mirror, so I can only see it from a fair distance. But there is this little white kind of area in it that from slight distance looks a bit like a white head. And, well, it's clearly not. But that's kind of what it looks like. And it makes all my eyelashes go all gunky. So all my eye ends up sore because it's constantly soggy and wet. And so all my eyelids now slightly puffy. But I've taken some antihistamines. I've done all the obvious things, and it's still kind of angry. But I also can't see what it can be angry about, if you know what I mean. There's nothing kind of obvious. There's nothing in my eye. But also, it's not like it hurts. It's not like when I blink it hurts or anything, because it doesn't. But what does bother me is the gunky bit, which then of course makes me want to touch my eye more. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it. But I also don't know who to go and see, because, well, my optician closed and didn't write to me to tell me they'd closed, so, you know, they obviously didn't care. But I'm not sure they'd do anything with it. British opticians are a bit weird like that. But I also think the doctor would say, well, it's not an us thing, it's an eyeball thing. It's certainly not an accident and emergency thing, because, you know, there's definitely no life-threatening potential for it. Other than maybe loss of temper, you know. It's not exactly life-threatening. So, you know, it would be wrong to go down A&E with it. But at the same time, what if it's important? What if it's the sign of something horrible, you know? It's not going to wait, but I assume it will in like a day or two. It's just going to be grumpy for a bit. But then I'm also not really doing anything to stop it being grumpy other than bathing it and, you know, making sure it's not, you know, it's not my body overreacting to something. Still not adding bloody pins to this. I keep forgetting that I keep meaning to add more pins, you know? because obviously I want to keep a fairly large selection of pins so that it doesn't pull in all the wrong places. Although, as I've said, because this one has got the edge pins, it's not really as important. When we go to making the strip for real, because I need a metre of it, basically all pins beyond this point need to come out. So although there's a whole waft of them down the back here, they won't be here in the real thing because, well, my roller pillar isn't a metre round, and so I will have to, you know, go round and round and round a bit. So having a slightly miserable eye also means my nose is a bit more runny. Which doesn't help. Right, we have now got all the bobbins required to try and make this thing that I swear is not going to work in the middle. So let's check we've got 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we don't. So you need an extra pair at the end. Go over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's good. You get to go over here. So let's rock you up a little bit. So let's do this. This is, as far as I can tell, this is not going to work. But until I had all the bobbins and I can just try. But I swear this is not going to work. So pins. I don't know why I thought on the paper it might work, but we shall see. Now you see, you are really supposed to be the line below. really supposed to be the line below. Hence, I know this doesn't really work. But because it's marked out, it's very hard to force in what would be right. Basically, I think I put it in half a square too high. But let's believe. That side didn't look as wonky, which is kind of weird. Don't know why that would be. Anyway, let's do you. You two are getting longer, I can feel it. Two. Going there. Me in the middle. So, you meet in the middle. You meet you. shame because I really do think that this had a potential. I don't dislike it, I actually quite like. I wonder if I'd just put it in the right place, maybe it would have worked. This is where it's going to get interesting, is how, because they're all already done, it's kind of weird because the right hand side looks like there is a secondary pin to get a bottom from, although actually no, there isn't. There kind of isn't, I don't think. Let me... So where do you come from? Yeah, you see, it should be off that pin there, and we've not got anything to do that with. What happens if we skip that and we just fudge it? I think it's going to end up with that these are a problem, but I almost can't tell you where they're from. I think go down this side. Now, you two have done some shenanigans, so let's sort you out. Alright. I can't see. When I lift it up, I can't see what I was doing with it. I think it goes in there. It's because the two lots of pins are really close together. Ooh, you are wrong. That doesn't help. For goodness sake. You are in the wrong place. You needed to be there. Not that that makes a huge difference to anybody. It's like too many when we get here, somehow. Maybe it's because I haven't done this side yet. Well, we've made it fit. Question is do we like it? Well, yes, the short answer is we'll find out when we take the pins out. I like the idea. I just think it's going to look a little bit odd. That's the word for it. Odd. I think it's going to look a bit... I mean, I can't really see what it looks like from here. For those who are unaware, this is an important announcement. So, for those who are unaware, as you know, I'm a strong follower of Monsters and Memories. Monsters and Memories are doing a playtest this weekend, Friday through Sunday. I have therefore cancelled the streams for Saturday and Sunday. This does not guarantee there aren't going to be any, but if I am caught up in the game, as I tend to do, I will come and stream. But what I don't want to do is claim I'm going to be here and skip the whole weekend. So Friday afternoon stream is on, because that's before they kick off. But Saturday and Sunday, likely not. But it doesn't guarantee not. It's just likely not. So I apologise in advance for those of you who are my Saturday night friends, or were hoping to catch me this weekend. There will always be the next weekend. However, it is very important to me as a game. I want to see them succeeding. It is the kind of game I enjoy. It is truly a virtual life, for want of a better word. But you know, I usually end up playing ogres, and Liz Biscuits will be there to assist new players in their endeavours. That's right, there's a bit of black fluff stuck to this. There we go. So I encourage you to come join us, see if it's your kind of game. Feel free to say hi. Do not be too naggy, because if you've asked me a billion questions, I'm liable to get kind of shorter with you. I do get that, because it's not a game that handholds you through a lot. In fact, it doesn't really handhold you at all. That's part of the reason I like it. So if you're not used to that kind of game, if you've never really played it before, it will be hard work. But like everything that's hard work, it can be rewarding when you get further along. Because if they hand it to you, you didn't really earn it, you don't tend to appreciate it. Whereas if you struggled and strived, well, you tend to appreciate it a little bit more for all the effort that you put in. Now obviously I'm not saying that there aren't games you put a load of effort in and they're still a big bag of crap. That can be a thing, but this game is very much pre-alpha kind of deal, right? But I do love it. I would love for you to join me in loving it. So, you know, please do. As I say, starts Friday night. Start patching your clients now, you know. So that you avoid the rush on Friday. His lordship. Oh, he's over there on the corner. Blimey. I could see that. Do some tidying up because it's getting a bit busy around here. So let's check how many's in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which means I can put you on a stick. One, two, three, four, five, doesn't look right. It's because it's not. Oh, I'm so glad you came here to die, Spamble. Kind of sad that the only message I do get is from a spam bot, but you know. been quiet today. You're being quiet. No, there's nothing wrong with quiet. It's just weird streaming to quiet. I miss a bit of conversation. That bit in the middle, see how it looks. Almost, yeah. No, it doesn't look too bad actually. Let's have a look. You know what? It actually doesn't look that bad. Actually doesn't look that bad, even though it looks kind of fudged. Actually, it's the same number of bobbins, oddly enough. But why is it you set your phone to have a half-life of not a lot, so that you know, don't leave it open and it'll drain all the battery off. And then when you do that, every time you ever try and look at something, you're just in the middle of looking at it and it turns itself off. Okay, so that looks slightly weird at the edges, but at the same time doesn't look terrible. So I'm looking at this bit here, because, well, it was a bit of a fudge. Or it felt like a bit of a fudge, but it actually isn't coming out too bad. Really isn't. You know what? It might actually have worked. It just looks a little bit odd at the time. Yeah. So how you doing, Tench? I do that. I mean, back in the day when you had to press buttons to unlock it, it was surprising how many... Well, I have a very sore, angry eye, and I have a very unhappy dog. Tenchy, you've known me long enough. Let me show you this. As you can possibly tell, I did not empty the tub. The tub. This is all that's left in the tub. Is this little worm of Vaseline at the bottom. This, I said goodbye to a co-worker today, and because we work from home, they had to come to site, which is about a mile over, well, in about that direction. And although I didn't give them my home address, so I was slightly freaked out. Not enough, because, you know, it's not like I don't know them. I haven't seen them for, it's got to be 4 years, right? So, you know, hi, hello stranger, how are you? You know, but it was their last day today. And Well, needless to say, while I was saying goodbye to co-worker and wishing them every best in their endeavour, somebody was helping himself to the tub of Vaseline. Now, and I do need to check he's alright. I just want to I can't really tell from here if he's breathing. I assume he's breathing. Well, exactly. I mean, of all the things, he could have gone in the kitchen, raided the cupboard and got in the peanut butter or the Nutella, or opened the fridge, or got in the dog food. No, he chose to eat a tub of Vaseline. Now, matched with Vaseline is very good for your skin when you suffer from dry skin and patches of it like I do. It's a great and glorious thing. But it's not exactly a snack. I mean, it's not inedible. It shouldn't have done him any harm. He does look asleep. I will check on him after stream. I don't really want to wake him up because he's actually lying on the cool mat and it is quite warm. So I'm really pleased he's lying on the cool mat because he's been avoiding the cool mat. But he's now lying on it, so hopefully he's benefiting from the cool mat. Well, frankly, Genji, that's the bit I'm not looking forward to. Because this is the third or fourth time little shitbag has eaten 350 odd grams of Vaseline. Now, the first time, the first time he kind of pebble dashed the hallway with greasy fart boo, right? The last time he did it, thank you, Jamie Farmer. Yes, it does, is all I can confirm to that. The last time he ate the tub of Vaseline, I was sitting here on this couch, as I do very often, and he was behind me, as he often sits, and he got up. I thought nothing more of it, and in fact I didn't think anything more of it until he kind of got off the couch, and I noticed that my back felt warm. Now, this must have been pretty uncomfortable, but he'd sharted. There is no better word for it. Basically, the whole 350 grams in one lump down the couch and my back. Now, as you can imagine, was not overly impressed by being the recipient of this, because Vaseline is a grease like no other. It is evil to get out things, especially the couch, right? So I was not impressed. Nor was he, I don't think, because as I say, it kind of came out in one go. So from that point of view, I was kind of pleased because it meant this was it was over with. But at the same time, picking up like 2 handfuls of of greasy at the same. Yeah. So I was hoping that my dear friend had eaten it early enough in the day that this is over with before bedtime, and that maybe they will go outside and in the garden, because, well, at least it's out there. What I really don't need is it in here, because if it goes on the carpet, it doesn't really come out, is the short answer. So I am a little bit apprehensive of the future hours, because I've had a long day and I'm really kind of not in the mood for more problems. I've had plenty. Yeah. All I can say is, yeah. I mean, he's not moving blatantly, but then I think he's asleep. But I don't really want to wake him up. But at the same time, I do know that it's not toxic, otherwise it'd have got him last time. But I do also know that he's been a bit more wretchy this time. Rory! So he didn't even react to that. Let me just quickly check on him. Oh, you've moved your head. You're fine. Yeah, he moved his head. He's alive. That's all right. He's sleeping, lying there. You know, maybe doing the equivalent, doggy equivalent of groaning, but I can't hear anything. So, but yes, only Rory. Yeah. I have to say, I don't understand his fascination for it. Now, the only thing I can think of, and me, I do mean it genuinely, is that it reminds him of me. But other than that, dude, of all the things you could think of in the world, really, this is your best option? You know, when my back is turned and you have all the things in the world that you could be eating, this was your choice? And of course, it took me a little while to notice, because I noticed that, you know, my speaker had fallen off the back of my computer table, and I've also had a problem this evening, so you may have had 2 notifications about the stream starting. Part of the reason for that was that as I started it, the amount of echo was horrendous, because basically my voice that comes through this microphone was coming out of my speaker. Nothing else, just the voice. So it was like I was listening to my own stream, except no, I'm not. And I don't know what it was. So I've had to, you know, zero the sound on it, because, well, I couldn't find a way to shut it up. So, you know, it's... There are definitely better things to eat, though, that's for sure. Dog biscuits. And I'm talking stuff that he could have got to. Now, I am kind of grateful that there are, you know, that maybe there was some other stuff on here that, you know, for example, I'm glad they didn't eat the super glue. The deodorant seems, although I don't actually know where that is. I'm sure it's around somewhere. I'll find it later. Because they've whacked the table. Lots of things moved. Now there's that. They didn't eat the deodorant that's on the table. So, you know, from a larger percentage of things, there's lots of things in there that would have been worse for him to eat. Now, petroleum jelly is not harmful, but it is, as Jamie has kind of guessed, a laxative. Because, well, it is grease, and it is kind of a non-digestible grease, so, well, it greases the pipes as it goes through. So basically it gives him an enema from the wrong end. And I'm pretty sure if I ate a tub of Vaseline, it would probably have the same effect on me. But you know what? I've never really felt a desperate need to find out. It is not something that I feel this, you know, even if you gave me a couple of bottles of wine, which would have me as drunk as a skunk, I can't see me thinking that this is a plan, right? Now, I've eaten some rum stuff in my time. I've eaten cat food and dog food, and I'm not talking the odd biscuit. I'm talking wet food and dry food. So, you know, I'm not against eating some weird things. But Vaseline? Yeah, it is somewhat. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I can tell you now, as someone who puts Vaseline on their lips and stuff, it doesn't taste of anything. So it's going to taste kind of slimy and oh, we're wandering off. Well, it's kind of weird because, of course, it's greasy. Part of you would think it would go down all right, but it would also feel like it's stuck in your throat. I mean, if you have a sore throat, I probably would imagine it would do quite nice for a sore throat, but you know, it's just kind of. But basically, he ate most of the tub. So, of course, I've had. Well, to be fair, it couldn't taste any worse. I mean, to be honest, I'd eat a tub of Vaseline over colonoscopy prep in a heartbeat. Because I can almost feel sick thinking of colonoscopy prep, having had a few. I mean, just the idea of drinking litres, because I don't know what it's like where you are, but colonoscopy prep here basically seems to be get this sachet of industrial drain cleaner, mix it in. It technically it's flavoured horse shit, and mix it in a litre of water. Down that in within 20 minutes, and then please drink another litre of water in the same hour, and a litre of water every hour. Then a few hours later, repeat this process. By which time you're so full of water, you've already started the. Oh, ours wasn't that good. Trying not to die on the toilet because, you know, your ancestors are being summoned through your butt. And every time you breathe in, you squirt out. And you've got to somehow drink even more liquid. And then, you know, you've got some more in the morning. And then you've got to get in the car and you're like, are you nuts? It would be far better to get me in, then give me it and have me sit in the waiting room, because at least the moment I've done a few trips, you know, because to be honest, it's already empty. Let's truly be fair. But let's assume. Yeah, it is. It is just absolutely vile. And for me, it's got kind of a. Jamie, you do have my utter understanding. I had bowel cancer, so they did the Hubble telescope thing a few times, and I will also tell you that they perforated my bowel when doing a biopsy. So this was the second time I did the bowel prep, for which the first time you're a bit green, so you endeavour with a little bit of hope, right? Second time round, you know what's coming, right? And hope is kind of gone. And so when I'd had the thing and they'd done the pump your stomach thing, not really. It's more of Rohypnol. They will give you some sedative. Well, I do wish you luck, because obviously they gave me a perforated bowel. I spent 4 days in hospital in screaming agony, because while they tell you childbirth is one of the most painful things you can endure, what they will also tell you is that a perforated bowel is the most painful thing you can endure, and I am here to attest that that is entirely true. I have never felt pain like it, and I had 4 days in a hospital bed where they did literally nothing about it other than wait and give me antibiotics, and then sent me home with oral antibiotics. I could have gone home. Seriously, just give me the pills. If you weren't going to do nothing, I could have, and it was like 1,000 degrees outside, and there was no aircon. I had no clothing because, of course, I'd ended up calling an ambulance, so it's not like I had a go bag or anything with me, right? Because I couldn't move. So they took me in a hospital. They didn't give me a bare my ass gown. They literally left me in the same clothes I'd arrived for the colonoscopy in. It has to be said, if it is at all normally they don't put you out. Normally they give you a heavy sedative and considerable amount of painkiller, and so you kind of go to sleep, but you're not anaesthetized. I think that's the difference. Is you're more just you manage to sleep through it. But of course, on the one where they perforated my bowel, I was fast asleep. You know, as far as I was concerned, it might as well have been a general anaesthetic. But I woke up screaming and saying they needed to stop because it hurt. And they were kind of being oh, stop making a nuisance, darling. Anesthesiologists are damn expensive people. I know when I had my knee op, the surgeon was 150 quid. The anaesthetist was £3,000. I'm sorry, so the dude who's really medically, in charge here got 150 notes for a 4-hour for operation, and yet the anaesthetist had more than my, a couple of months' salary for the privilege. Hang on. But it does depend. But as I say, I think for me the hardest part was that they perforated it and then literally made out like I was just being a pansy and a wuss, and even and gave me paracetamol to cure it. Like that really made a difference, and sent me home. Well, 2 hours later I had to call the ambulance, but it took 9.5 hours for an ambulance to come. Because, of course, it isn't life-threatening. Well, actually, a perforated bowel is potentially life-threatening. But, of course, even though I told them that's I'd had a bowel biopsy and all the rest of it, they kind of assumed, it can't be that. And well, they were wrong. And, so 9.5 hours later, I finally make it to hospital. And then they just let me lie on a bed for 4 days and kind of occasionally stab me with some shit and send me home. And you're kind of like, really? That was it? I didn't get a single apology for perforating my bowel whatsoever. And of course, then a couple of weeks later, after they tested it, they announced that it was cancerous, and I basically needed to do all that shit again. And you're like, really? Are you kidding me? Actually, I think the most insulting thing for the actual operation was not only had I done bowel prep, which of course, as we've already admitted, is the work of Satan. Basically, yeah. Except for the fact that when it came to do my operation, first thing the surgeon moaned was, well, it's going to be so much more difficult now there's scar tissue. Well, whose fault's that then? It's not like I went in there and did it. It's not like I swallowed razor blades or something, right? To be fair, it wasn't him who had done the colonoscopy, but on that occasion, but you do sit there kind of going, I'm sorry, but you're acting like I had a choice in this, Anyway, so I did the whole bowel prep thing, and, this was like time number 3, and dear God alive, was I unhappy. I then got there, and they did a bloody enema. What the hell do you think was there to wash out? My ancestors have been flushed like 3 times in the last 3 or 4 weeks. What on earth do you think is up there? And of course, here was the best bit. So they fill you up with the enema. And said, right, please lie here for half an hour, and then came back with, right, and you're kind of clenching for all that's worth, because they've packed you up with liquid, right? And then they came in and went, right, well, you can go to the toilet now. So I go out the door, and it's like, and where is it? Oh, well, it's down the corridor. Could I find it? I'm struggling, walking around desperately trying to hold my butt close. Looking for this thing. And of course, someone was in it. And it's like, no. could you not have at least got me a room with a toilet in it so I can at least just go? Dear God, people. Yeah. Welcome to the NHS. I don't hold it against them. I do obviously hold the perforated bowel against them, because, you know, he actually wrote on my discharge note, I did have it somewhere, but he actually wrote on my discharge paper that the patient became difficult, so I couldn't do all that I wanted. Well, he'd already done too much sunshine. So, yeah, I will not forget that one. But, you know, because, to be fair, COVID was still pretty rife at this point, although it was a couple of years ago now. So COVID was still rife enough that we had people dying of it in the ward while we were in hospital. We see, that's nice of them. That's the sensible option. You know? I'm so glad they treated you better, is all I can say to you. It's all I can say to that. I mean, obviously for my operation, when they stole 8 inches of my bowel, they did have the decency to put me to sleep. And so from that point of view, you know, that was definitely a good thing. I think that was one of the other things that did annoy me slightly, was that the first time I had my bowel colonoscopy, I signed a form that said, you know, if while you're in there you'd find something interesting, you are permitted to take chunks of it. But I think they were in a hurry, so they went, well, we'll have to do that next time. Why? You're already up there. Just grab it, you know? Just grab a chunk of whatever it is that you're offended by. It was called Sluggy, by the way. Because Sluggy was about this big and looked a bit like a pink slug. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is as someone who could afford to lose a couple of pounds, I am not a my £600 life contestant, but I could still afford to lose a few pounds. I would like to strongly advise, one size robes do not fit all. I mean, I am not big I mean, I'm not small, but I am not ridiculously big. I didn't fit in those gowns at all. It was fucking ridiculous. Yeah, to be honest, colonoscopy is something that I do not wish on anybody. Except for, you know, maybe if you want to practice on a couple of, you know, criminals in prison, that's a fair deal. But as a general rule, it is not something, even some of the people who, you know, I happily would probably, you know, I use this phrase gently, and I mean it. If they stepped out in front of my car, I would be sorry if I braked. Because I know I would, because it's all of our natural reaction. But a small part of me would be sorry that I had, right, missed opportunities. I wouldn't even wish it on them. I'd rather it than with me car. You know, it's kind of like, it is just distinctly unnecessarily horrid. And I will say I am very grateful to be honest. If you've Googled, which I'm sure you have, all of mine were pink and healthy looking, right? I've got 2. I've still got one of them, by the way. Phil, who is the one I've still got, so Sluggy and Phil. Phil is right at the top, almost just outside my appendix, right? Phil is 2 millimeters or something, you know, it's frankly barely worth talking about. But Sluggy was about 1 inch long, so he was about 25 millimeters. And he, you know, if you Google it all, you know, how they, you know, obviously they've got, you know, they test it properly, but a good rule of thumb is size and appearance. And mine were all absolutely pink and healthy looking, because, well, when they found Sluggy, I was very much wide awake and with it, because he was very near the entrance, shall we call it. So I got to see him, and I was wide awake, because the first time round, because I can tell you now, your innards do not have nerve endings. It's the rest of you that has nerve endings. And so I kind of like, well, you're only going to look round, so yeah, I'll skip, I'll forgo I was brave, I'll forgo the sedation and shit, because, well, it's just a camera, how bad can it be? And to be honest, while they were looking Sluggy, and I'm not going to pretend it was a sunny day in the park, but it wasn't that bad, because, well, as I say, it was about this far in, so, it really wasn't too bad. It was when they went looking further up that I had a problem. In fact, it was when they, because your bowel comes up, does a big circle, and then does a bit of this, right? For me, it was the hairpin bend. They couldn't get the camera around the hairpin bend, and as they were pushing harder, it just hurt more and more, to the point they had to finally sedate me, because it was not going to happen. They then found Phil, and but decided it wasn't really worth it. So Sluggy was the main, cause of alarm, but he was big enough, but he was kind of flat and boring and pink and healthy looking. I mean, he looked like a pink slug. It almost looked like, someone had kind of put a bit of a knuckle up through it. He looked literally almost like he wasn't as round, because he was a bit more slug shaped, so he was a bit more bullet-y shaped, but he looked kind of streamlined and a little bit of a lump. That was it. He didn't look exciting at all. And I think, to be honest, it was quite a surprise to them all when they found out it was basically stage 2 cancer. And, that really was a little bit of a shock for everyone, that it was, he might have been a little bit borderline, because size is generically a bad thing. But it doesn't mean it's cancerous, it just means it's, not good for you. And it is more likely to turn than not. But obviously, Sluggy had been harbouring a secret. And as I say, when they perforated the bowel, and that was the bit that kind of confused me. So they removed Sluggy as a biopsy, and they sent him off, and that was when they perforated my bowel. Well, if that's the case, why then did I need to go in? Well, obviously the first question is why did I then need to go and have 8 inches of my bowel removed? And the answer is, of course, is because it's not a clear margin, right? And I spent a very long period of time in a waiting room, 5 hours by the way, waiting for my appointment. They then took me to the furthest part of the office block area that they were in, to tell me that it was cancerous, right? Because obviously they expected tears and shit. And I did the whole kind of like, and he was sitting there, well, when we took the thing, we took, and it's so you didn't get a clear margin. Well, when we did the thing, 90 minutes later, we didn't get, there was no clean tissue around it, so you didn't get a clear margin. So no, we'll need to go in and you could have said that like 90 minutes ago. I could have been home by now. I've waited 5 hours in the waiting room. I kind of want to hear the news and go away, And so I left and told Trev that, they were going to do an operation and that it was cancerous, and he took it far worse than I did. I'm driving home listening to someone wailing and crying on the phone, and I'm kind of going, yeah, well, it'll be whatever, they'll chop it out, they'll do the best, I'm not going to do anything about it, nothing I can do to change the outcome here. And I will say I was distinctly not looking forward to the idea of a stoma bag. That was distinctly something that I was vehemently not impressed by the idea of, because I'm not overly squeamish as a whole. I mean, I clear up dog poop, and at some point I'll probably be clearing up Vaseline dog poop, as we know. So I can kind of cope with that. I can't say it's my favourite thing to do, but, I can cope with that. But the idea of kind of the innards coming out doesn't feel right, Rory, go out in the garden. If you think you're about to go out in the garden, my man. Stop chasing your tail and go out in the garden. If you think that that's not a fart, my friend, go in the garden. If you're not confident that that's only a fart, and as they say, never trust a fart, go out in the garden so that when you go, it's not all over my lovely pale carpet or my couch or anything important. Go walk around the garden a little bit. Yeah, stop smelling your ass. I heard that. Do you want to go out in the garden? Go out in the garden. No, definitely you're not on the couch. Go out in the garden. Go in the garden, little man. No, not on the couch. Oh. I heard squelchings. You better not be skanking up my pillow that you've just sat on, my dear man. I know, you don't feel too hot. Well, stop eating the Vaseline, my son. Yes. I know you love me. Yes. And I love you too. But while you have Vaseline butt, can you go in the garden? Thanks for coming, Tenchi Tenchi. It's so nice to see you. I miss you, my friend. Rory, I do love you. I really do. But can you... Yes, we all want to know how you do. It's important to all of us. We need to know how you fare. There is Vaseline on my cushion, Rory. It does look like Vaseline and not, but clearly that is butthole shaped Vaseline. Can you please take your Vaseline butt outside? That means it has made it from A to B. There is Vaseline on my cushion. My lovingly Liz made cushion. Yes. Please take your Vaseline butt outside. I know. Maybe your tummy doesn't feel so good. But even Amy's gone outside. Where's Amy gone? Go for a little bit of a walk in the garden, my man. Go for a little bit of a walk in the garden. Hey? Because Amy's a good girl. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can. You can do it. I know you can do it. You can. You go in the car. I'm kind of staring at him because I kind of... Please. Go chase around the garden. Are there cats in the garden? Are there birds and squirrels in the garden? Who's in the garden? Is there anyone in the garden? I'm trying to excite him to go down the garden. Who's that? Who's that? Is there somebody out in the garden? No, that's not the garden. I am not the garden. Who's a good girl? Amy's a good girl. Are you a good girl? You went in the garden. You's a good girl. You is a good girl. You is a good girl. Yes. No, her butt does not smell of Vaseline. That'll be yours. Bet you don't. Joys of animals. To be honest, if you lay on the cooling mat, at least that's easy to clean, you know? Because it's kind of plastic coated. Keeps building my hope by going towards the gardening and stops, which is slightly irritating. Excuse me. Oh, please not on that, that's very, that's a pain in the arse to clean. Yes, they've discovered the delights of the cooling mat. Yeah, that's a good boy. You sit on that. That'll do. I'll accept the cooling mat. I do like how he kind of started to puke and she got off like it was landing on her head. If you do it on the cooling mat, at least it's easy to clean. And take it out and squirt it with a hose pipe. You know? Just realised I haven't had any food yet. It's 10:15. I'll have a pot noodle or something. It's hardly food, but it'll do. To be honest, I'm most glad they found the cool mat and that they are recognising that as a good place to sit in a hot day. You're not right. Something's not right here. Oh no, it is right. Okay. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven. Right. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yes, Jamie, I do very much feel for you. Yes, today was not one of your proudest days. I totally understand. And I don't think that anyone who's never been through it can totally understand how bad bowel prep is. It's like drinking kind of sewage seawater. And there's just so much of it. Well, and that's the thing, because of course if it was only the night before or the morning of, depending on what time of day you have to be seen, it wouldn't be so bad. But you've got 2 days before you've got to, you know, you can only have white food. So realistically, you can have. Well, that's the thing, because you've got well, you can't eat this 2 days before, and you can't do that, and you can't drink that. So basically, yesterday was the day of starvation. This is it, right? So you know, you already start with you can't eat half the things that you want. Then you get to not yesterday, but the day before. You'll have had the you can only eat white food day. So then you have, basically you can have pasta, you can have potato, and you can have grilled chicken. Or boiled chicken, but no one eats boiled chicken. And white fish. No bread on the fish, because you're not allowed that. But you can basically have white. You can't drink anything with any flavour, you can't. So already you're feeling deprived. And well, but you've got to be careful, because if there's even the slightest bit of colouring in it, they're going to be mad at you. And you know, it's got to be chicken noodle soup that you made yourself. You've got to, you know, and then you're kind of like. So I don't know about you, but despite having felt like death due to the effects of the bowel prep, all I could pretty much think of was, what the hell am I going to eat? Because sitting outside, well, while I was sitting in the waiting room for my second one, there was a lady having a first. I'm surprised, because I wasn't allowed milk, so I couldn't have had Campbell's. I wasn't allowed milk. I could only have clear liquid, and no milk, no cheese, no. I wasn't allowed any milk. So I couldn't have had Campbell's because of the cream in it. You know, you weren't allowed bread, but you were allowed potato, you were allowed cheese, you were allowed chicken and white fish, and that was pretty much it. Wow. It's got to be plain yogurt though. Can't be flavoured, coloured. It was. But I found that, you know, all I could do while I was prepping and sitting on the can was thinking about what could I eat on my way home from having it done. Oh, okay. Yeah, the day before I wasn't allowed to eat anything. So 2 days before I could have white food only. The day before I wasn't allowed to eat anything. And the day of, obviously, well, you can't eat anything, drink anything, do anything. Because, well, basically your entire soul's left your body. But, yeah, I hated mine. But all I could think of was what could I eat on my way home. Because it felt like, you know, an eternity since I'd eaten food with any substance and flavour, and I was desperate. And I confess, and I mean this from the bottom of my soul, I asked my ex-husband to give me a lift. Can we stop by McDonald's on the way home? And he was like, oh, I ain't got time for that. And then he got lost, and we ended up driving past McDonald's, and it's like, if you don't go in there, I'm going to eat you. So we called in at McDonald's, and I ordered, you know, quite an obscene amount of McDonald's because I was really hungry. So I had like 2 special burgers and some fries, and he said, oh, you know, I'll be good when you get home. And literally, I'd inhaled it before we'd barely driven out the parking lot. I was so hungry. I just, it was kind of like the reward also of the surviving the ordeal. You know, it was kind of like, I know this is nutritiously bad for me. I know that it, you know, it is not going to help whatever is wrong with me. I know that I know all of these things, but I am so hungry, so devoid of flavour, because you can't even have a cup of tea. You can't have some lemonade. You can't have so many things. Even though lemonade in this country is clear, still couldn't have it, and you're kind of like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. You know, I really can't have some lemonade. So I literally couldn't have anything with any flavour in it, and oh, it was utterly awful. So yeah, I ate a McDonald's, but yeah. Oh, mine didn't do that. Yeah, if it's any consolation, I didn't get told what I couldn't eat for the next 24 hours, so I ate what the damn well hell my brain told me was going to be good. And I enjoyed every inch of it. But I'd been talking to this lady, and we came to the conclusion that if you ever need a retirement plan, burger van outside the colonoscopy department. Yeah, need I say more, right? Burger van right outside the colonoscopy department. Screw vegetarians. I need food. I need actual food. You know, you can do chicken and fish and, you know, frankly, they won't care. They will throw money at you. They won't care what it is. My eye is being a bit annoying. I need to go and wash my eye a second because I've been rubbing it now. So let me be back in a sec. That's a bit better. It still feels a bit weird. It does do this occasionally in. It's almost like it's now got something in it, but I don't think it does. My eye is proper angry though. No, Rory, go outside. see if I can show you what I mean. It's pretty angry looking, but it's not what I wanted. Nope. Hello, hello, Silver Dragon. How are you? Oh, that looks pretty weird. I love my homemade bobbins. They are somewhat heavy, so one stick of bobbins is about the same weight as a can of drink, but what it does mean is when you have them like this, they apply a level of tension, and so from that point of view they're really quite good to work with, because, well, they kind of keep the tension up, rather than, you know, potentially go a bit soggy at the edges. They kind of stay where you put them. So I'm absolutely loving them. I mean, I would say that obviously to an extent, in comparison to normal bobbins, you know, I can see that there are a lot of people out there that wouldn't like them. But then don't make them with metal beads, you know. But I like these being really heavy. Ooh, how did what did you finish? Ooh. You do seem to get through your patterns very quickly. I'm very envious. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Were you upstairs doing things that I don't want to know about, Rory? Did you go on the landing? Because you did come down there rather fast. My man. Hey? I do still love you, Rory. I just don't want your greasy sharts on my house. No. Hey, little sunshine. Oh, my little man. I'm going to do just a little bit more of this and then call it quit for the day because, well, I've got to upload videos and work out what he's been up to. and eat some food because, well, I'm hungry. So everybody's been twisted. So that's a good bit. Pacing around like he's uncomfortable, which, to be fair, he probably isn't. He probably is uncomfortable. He's probably got kind of the equivalent of the post-colonoscopy, you know, uncomfortable, don't trust anything. But at the same time, there can't be any more. Well, at least he had his dinner before he did that. Actually, did they? Oh, I ain't feeding you after eating that. You're going to have to live without, because there's no way I'm putting a bowl full of food behind that. pleased. We've done quite a bit today. Really pleased with how far we've done. So as I said earlier, for those who weren't here though, there is unlikely to be streaming over the weekend. Now, likely because I will be playing a game. And now, it doesn't mean that there won't be, it just means that I'm not going to promise you that there will be. Because to be honest, 3 days of you know, I'm no longer really young enough to do 3 days of 20-hour gaming. I kind of need to do and listen to something else for a change. So with that in mind, there is a chance, but I don't want to commit to a time or a place. As I said, it's not because I don't want to, but it is such a, you know, it's such a good opportunity to play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I want to support the guys as best I can, so I'll be helping all the noobs find things and how do I do this and where's that and what button's this. Well, it's E to run. It's you know, yeah, let's truly be honest. And they've added loads of stuff since last time, so it will be interesting to see what they've been up to, and because it's always interesting to see what they've been up to be honest, because they do some really good stuff. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So obviously I will be busy. So we're basically almost down to, well, we could start the next motif. Now, there is a bit of me that's not convinced that this is going to look as great as it does on paper, but maybe it'll come out good. I mean, I think the reason my brain's a bit dubious is because if you look at the squares that are going to be made, so the top one, you have the 4 dots and you have a passive pair and it comes to the bottom. That's your first square made. The next square is not made of 4 dots because you start there, you go the other way, so there are 5 dots. The other side is also 5 dots. You then go to this one and you do 5 dots. So there are 5 dots in all of the bits except for the top and bottom one. And there is just a bit of me that thinks that this is not going to look quite as good as I think it should. So, hence, you know, but we're going to give it a trial. You know, like everything gets its chance. I mean, the last one I did, I really didn't think was going to turn out all right. But to be honest, I know we haven't unpinned it yet because it's back here somewhere, but it looks like it's turned out all right. Even though the pins didn't really line up afterwards, and yeah, it was frankly a bit weird. She says, put it up on her phone to relook at what. really looks almost quite nice. So at the moment, it has a potential to be a strong contender. Mainly, if nothing else, because it's bigger holes, not denser stuff. So could be quite an attractive quality. Because obviously, you know, we've got bigger holes here, so it's not like they're huge holes. But we've got the rose ground bit kind of back here, and then we've got the kind of honeycomb here. But I actually really like the fact that there's like this slightly thicker border around it. I actually think that that actually is quite an attractive quality. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how that shows up in the end. You know how it is. Until you look at it at the final thing with all the pins out and all the rest of it, it is that kind of moment where you sit there going, well, I think it looks great. And, you know, it's like a dress in the shop or, or something online or whatever, in that it kind of looks, quite often they look better than they truly are. So there's always that kind of risk that your brain's going to go, you know what, nah, actually I hate that now. And you know, it's, I don't want to do like a big diamond in the middle, because I think that would be boring and a bit much. But I do think that while I kind of like the spiders that on the strips that we've done, that's a good point. Where did that go? When the dogs demolished my table, where did that go? There they are. So when we did this, I do think that where is it? These are the first ones. So I don't dislike this first strip. I'm then trying to feud variations on things, and I do kind of like this one. I do kind of like how this turned out. So you've got the, instead of two spiders, you've got kind of like a straight square with like, and then obviously I used the tears that came out like they were a single bobbin. So I did kind of a normal ground stitch in the middle. Kind of liked how that turned out. Sort of liked how this spider turned out, but not as much. This was horrible. This I like, but at the same time I don't like, because it looks weak and weird. I think the cross points needed to be fixed so that they don't move around. I liked the idea of this, but it's too big and unwieldy and it's baggy and funny. These were normal. This was kind of me doing this again, but still didn't like it. And this was just a frigging disaster. Yeah, I can't even, I almost don't remember what the hell I did to that. Well, I don't hate them. And I think that is a key point. You know, so for example, I don't hate any of them. Now, I'm not hugely a spider fan, and I think that is also part of it. So, to be honest, if I made an entire curtain out of this, I wouldn't hate it, right? But the question is, hello, sugar bear. But I think, like everything, it's not that I hate it. It's a question of, are there better choices, in my opinion? And I put together a whole bunch of them, obviously, and I know I can't really see them, but I've got, you know, this chunk back here of stuff we've already done. And to an extent, we've gone for, the early ones are a single rose ground, a 2x2 diamond of rose ground, a 3x3, rose ground, and that'll be round about here-ish. So, to be honest, the single rose ground I think is probably too small, because I did one of those here. just to see how it fitted in if you just chucked it in. So I put one in. It's right, there's a funny lump. I don't know, it's just that bit a bit lumpy. So I put that in there, and I do think that as a potential, instead of, you know, one of these to make a small dot, the rose ground does have a potential. And I think, which is of course why I did it. I do think that this last motif actually has far more potential than I was giving it credit for. Because of course, when I was starting it earlier, you know, those who are here will assure you that I was sitting there going, this is not going to work, it's going to look shit, I'm not even sure it's viable, and I was really down on it. Well, now I've done it, I'm actually really pleased how it looks. So, you know, and I think this, and I enjoy, you know, I quite enjoy the honeycomb, so it is one of those things is that I think, because I've got 2 more strips of options to go, why is this the same as that one? Why is this one the same as that one? What the fuck's going on there? Something's really, really weird. Because I've only just noticed that when I printed this, oh, I blame Dorian too. But this is this. Ah, it's on the back, that's why. Maybe that's the wrong one, I don't know. Anyway, this is the next one. It's this way up, but never mind. This is the next one. Because obviously I tried to print it, and to be honest, that doesn't look wrong. Yeah, I've got a feeling that actually that's technically the one that I printed that looked a bit weird. And I probably shouldn't have used that side up, but because, oh well, I reused the piece of paper because, well, why not? But this is the next one. So this, the bottom of this ends in this little, the ends here, look. So this one ends here, a very tiny little cathedral arch. This one's a bigger cathedral arch. Then we move on to like a diamond in a diamond. Then we have honeycomb in a diamond. Then we have rose ground in a diamond. Then we have a cathedral arch in a diamond. Then we have the star thing, which is one of these but a lot smaller, in a diamond. Then we go to a big cathedral arch, which I think won't work, but I want to try it to see. Then we have the Antichrist, which is tallies in a diamond, because I suck at tallies, but I also think it could look quite nice, but I also suck at tallies. And then this one is kind of this, but done in a Bedfordshire style. So instead of these just being twisted and pulled through each other and just kind of undery overy, you actually plait them and join them at the points so it holds together. There will be no picos though. Fuck picos. I don't care how great picos are. I have a horrible feeling that the tally one, if I don't fudge my tallies too bad, will look quite nice. I think these ones could look quite nice. These two also could look quite nice, although could be arguably a bit much. I think this is going to look a little bit sad. I think the Eye of Sauron could look a bit sad, and I think this cathedral arch will look a bit small and lost. I mean, because obviously I'm thinking I've got large and small. I can do, this is as large as I would realistically go, but I could go smaller than this, so I could have like, you know, because this is the smallest I would go, which is 4x4 in the middle. So, you know, I've got a number of options for potentially smaller things to make the big zooms bigger and the small smaller. But maybe I will keep them all the same size and just have 3. I don't know yet. And that will be the next problem. Yeah, this is literally that. So I don't know whether that's the wrong one or not, but, well, anyway, you know how it is. So I have plenty to go, but we are, well, over halfway through this strip, and I am really pleased with it. I think I am also really excited to see how this is turning out. She's just actually wondering. Let me tidy up a bit. Hang on. Fold this back up. Put you back in the stick. Like that. Now, we will bring you forward and bring you forward so that we can roll you forward. And we can arguably where's my pin pot? There it is. So if we take these out, so if I undo some of these, I can put something slightly darker behind some of the call that one a day and find something darker to put behind it, like my phone. Well, actually this is my work phone, but it will do. Right, if I put this behind it and I move the camera manually, because, well, that's a thing, right? This is the single rose ground, and it looks a little lost, but it is also a reasonable pinpoint. The double rose ground is bigger and maybe it's a little bit more noticeable. This third one is obviously 3, and I've got a 4x4 one there. So I think the 3x3 one I think looks a little odd. I think this could work as a kind of intermediary, so could the single dot. And I think the 4 one is too big and a little bit odd. Not that it's wrong odd, it's just odd. Less desirable, I think, is the right word for it. Not one. The only one I had was when I bit one and couldn't get it out. I did kind of have a panic attack about pins then. But it's odd because if you actually look at this, the 4x4 one is actually the same size. Yeah, the 4x4 one's actually the same size as the bigger spiders on the original. So it's the same size, but it looks bigger. It looks a bit much. It's a bit fussy, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the problem I had was that a pin obviously got on the bottom of my food. I bit into it. It hurt like a motherfucker. And well, it went in like 1 centimetre into my tongue. And obviously I'm trying to put my hand in to try and grab the pin that's now sticking up like this, you know, like this in my mouth. but of course your tongue is then like a wrestling snake thrashing around in anguish, right? And there's food in there, and but of course you can't shut your mouth because, well, then you'll push the pin in even more. Um, it was not one of my finest hours, that was for sure. So from that point of view, I do have a little bit of a phobia about where the pins have got to. But then, of course, that is exactly why I bought this. And for those who have not met this before, I know it's a little bit orange and it looks a bit like something that it either looks like a torch or something I should take upstairs. It is a metal detector. So I can now find the little bastards when they run away. And frankly, it's one of the best things I bought because it wasn't very expensive. So, but it does mean that should I drop them, I don't worry about them in dog paws. I can find them. Which, of course, well, it did. I mean, the first time I saw a pin which really kind of gave me a surprise, I was in the kitchen prepping some food. I looked to the right of the chopping board and there was a pin just lying casually on the countertop, and it's like, where did you come from? It obviously been caught in my clothes and had escaped, but again, it came desperately close to my food. And of course, it was not then long after that I did some food, and I'm pretty sure it's because I put it on my table, but somehow maybe I pinged one off something. It was, let's say there was a pin on a piece of paper. I put the plate down and it went ding, and I didn't notice. And because maybe I put the plate down while I was eating, put the thing on the plate, didn't really look because, picked it up, chomp, ow, So, don't really have nightmares about pins as a whole. But I'm certainly far more concerned as to where did that go than I was. And especially, and now I'm not using the super, super thin pins that bend every time you look at them or say the word pin. It's not like I have a table full of bent pins anymore either. So with all of that in mind, I don't really worry about the pins. I still worry about the dogs knocking the pillow off the table and causing me grief by having 58,000 tangled bobbins. I still have anxiety for when you look at people who have got big projects and it's kind of like Bobbin City, and that's a bit much for me. So for example, I mean, if you saw this picture that I posted on Discord, that level of bobbins gives me anxiety because while she has trapped a few in sticks, an awful lot of them are not in sticks, and they look a little bit chaotic. There's a few at jaunty angles, and that gives me a bit of anxiety. There's also quite a few pictures on the internet of people with bolster pillows, and if you kind of count and approximate, so you count like a chunk of it and then count them over and know that you can see that there are some on the other side, so you can probably double it, and they've got thousands of bobbins and not a single one of them is trapped down by anything, that gives me super anxiety. I mean, I'd love to have that confidence that I can just kind of chuck a bobbin and pick up the right one without it being tangled with friends, and I'd love to have that confidence, but I don't have that confidence. So, that's not going to be a thing. I do fancy, for some reason, making a shawl, even though I don't like shawls, wear shawls, but part of me kind of fancies making a shawl. But to be honest, that's not much different to making a neck curtain, so, hey, yeah, maybe not. But yeah, I have lots of plans. I know Naughty Celt would like me to do some weaving, but I you know, like everything, it depends a little bit on. You'd be surprised, actually. It's not as bad as it seems. People say similar things about weaving. Oh, I couldn't do that. What, you can't chuck something, you can't stomp your foot down on something, throw something, and whack something. Pretty sure you can. And as a result, if you can, I've said this to a couple of people. If you can pick an object up and move it over another object, you can make lace. Now, it may not be the fastest lace. It may not be the most impressive lace known to humankind, but you can make lace. It's not a patience thing. It definitely is a stubborn thing. And you can do an awful lot with not a lot. So it is a case of you definitely could. Would you enjoy it? Now that's a different story. Obviously I can't speak well enough for people I don't know, but I can tell you now, there isn't a person in where I work who couldn't do this. They may not want to, but they could do this. There's nothing stopping a single one of them. They just don't. And it's the same with sewing and knitting and crochet. Basically, they all can. Some of them might have to concentrate a bit more than others, but they all could. But most of them don't want to. And I respect that they don't want to. Very much respect that they don't want to. Whereas me, I want to do all the things, and I don't have enough time in the day to do all the things. I'd love to retire though. Anyway, I'm going to run away because the adverts are due in 20 seconds, so I'm going to run away and deny Bezos some money because, well, why not? It's not like he gives it to me very much, so let's not be convincing ourselves that Liz makes lots of money. I'm just quickly looking. So far this month, I think I've made $9. Okay, let's not be convinced, so we'll deny Bezos' money. Take care, everybody. I shall see you tomorrow. Bye bye.